So hello, today we are at St Peter's Church in Goldhanger in Essex, and we're going to concentrate today on the tower and the bells. So this magnificent 15th century tower contains or holds 8 bells. Now we should also be hearing the Ellacombe Chimes. And the tower captain has kindly given permission that we can actually hear the bells be rung by David Newman, who is now a retired bell ringer from this church and local historian. Okay, so the west doorway is now open, so we're going to go inside and we're going to set up the Ellacombe Chimes. Okay, we'll shut the door. Oh. Okay, yeah.
So we'll put the wells back up using this thing up there which is called the spider, and that hooks on there to get the bells out of the way. Are in the sorry, have you stopped?
Yeah, we go.
If the bells are in the up position, we can't play this.
Okay.
Because the bells have to be down with their mouths pointing downwards, because this has a separate row of hammers, completely separate from the clappers that are in the bell.
Okay.
So the bells, when they're down, hence why this serious sign, the bells are up or the bells are down, that's quite important.
Okay.
So we know the bells are down.
Yep.
And this sign said they're down. So now I can set this up. And one of the problems is, I've witnessed videos of other people in other churches playing this, and they don't set it up correctly. So what we have to do is hook up these 8 hooks. And this is a relatively crude Ellacombe chimes. These 8 ropes to these points here, because this, normally for full bell ringing, the hammers are well away from the bells.
Okay.
You don't need 2 means of ringing the bell at the same time. Not good news.
So as you pull them down, they're just catching the bell, aren't they?
They do, yes. And that depends. I can't get that through that hole.
Do you want me to help you with that one?
No. Partly because it's a bit dark.
Yeah.
Got it. Oh. And this, up until the 1950s, there were only 6 bells in this tower.
Okay.
And in the 1950s, before my time here, they completely refurbished this tower and added 2 bells. So they actually modified this gadget as well to accommodate the 8 bells, the 8 hammers. So now we've got the bells in the right position. But the problem is, nobody's probably used this for quite a while, the ropes will be the wrong length. So I've now got to test them for length, like that. Not bad. No. That one's not right. It's too.
That's too baggy, is it?
Too baggy.
Too loose, yeah.
If you don't get them more or less the right size, you can't play a decent tune, and you can't get the same volume out of each bell, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
That's better.
So is there a certain distance this should be making a triangle?
It should be a triangle.
Okay.
And the Reverend Ellacombe himself said it should be 6 inches.
6 inches.
Yeah. So now I'm in a position to ring 8 bells.
Okay.
And this is what's all the bell ringers normally do. They start with what's just called rounds. That's rounds.
Fantastic.
Now, for a beginner bell ringer, it would take them a month or 2 to get to that point, to be able to do that, or be one of the people doing that. Having perfected rounds, of course that gets boring after a few minutes. The bell ringing then have a series of changes, what are called chord changes, where you swap bells over, and there are some classic sequences which are kings and queens.
Kings and queens, yeah.
Kings and queens. So we'll do queens first, is the most obvious. Got it wrong.
So is it every second one, is it? Is
Yeah,
it every
it's
second
just
row?
the alternates.
Alternative
Odd
rows.
and even. The
Okay.
odd and then even, because you've got
Okay.
8, you see.
Yeah.
That's queens. The almost opposite, not quite opposite, is kings, which is this one. Easy, really.
I like that.
Again, if you're a beginner bell ringer, it takes you quite a while to be able to do that as one of the 8. You see.
Okay, you
Quite
understand.
complicated. Now we do have 8 bells, which is an octave, which is a considerable benefit over having 6 or 5 bells.
Yeah.
Because you've got an octave, you can play a tune. Because you've got complete control of the timing, you can play a chord. You can't play a chord on there. For example, you can't do this on those bells. Can't do that on that.
No.
Because it's got complete control of the timing with 2 hands. But yeah, it takes you a while to learn to do that on here. But what we quite often do is we've had open days in the past, we bring the children in here, get them to have a go.
Yeah, of course.
Go on, there you go, yeah, see?
Yeah. Do you want me to have a go?
Just have a go.
Do you want me to have a go, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is your gadget still recording?
Yeah, it's recorded.
Just,
So
start,
just
we'll
pause.
start with rounds in the sequence. Don't, I'll stop you if I may.
Yeah.
You shouldn't hold the bell
So
on the
hard.
clapper. You've got to do a quick,
Oh, like
that,
this.
a flick.
Like a spring.
It's not good for the bells to hold
Okay.
the hammer against the bell.
Okay, so more of a...
A flick, that's it, that's better. Dead easy, isn't it?
So I do alternative?
Try the
We're
alternative.
going for it now. Quite enjoy this.
Nearly.
I don't know what to do.
There you
I'll
go.
leave it to you.
Right, then
Okay.
we move on to the next thing. Then, of course, you can play a tune, you see. It's very much like a musical instrument, hence
Yeah.
why you need to practice on something like a xylophone.
Okay.
I'm out of tune, I'll start again out of practice.
It's okay.
Lost it. Shows you how well out of practice I am.
It doesn't matter. It's been a year, David.
It has. One of my best tunes is this, Amazing Grace.
Bravo.
Recognise that?
Bravo, I did indeed.
Yeah, even better still,
That was really good.
play it with chords.
That was really good.
Sorry.
It's not easy.
No,
That was very good.
Yeah.
Okay, if we go outside, we can listen to what it sounds like from the front of the church, which will be the west side. Now you're showing off.
I haven't done it for a year.
Bravo!
But the trouble is we've got too many good bell ringers, you see.
Oh,
They don't want me to do it. They don't need me to do it.
okay, let's ascend these stairs.
Right, I've got the door open and I'm in.
Okay, I'm coming up. First window. See the wear on the steps. Okay, up we go. A bit dark now.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to put the light on. There is
That's okay.
by the main door there is a light which is just here. But it is, at least it's daylight, so
I mean, we shall stand, not on the trapdoor.
Don't stand on anything on the floorboards.
Yeah.
First thing to offer you is the original tower captain who was here when I first got involved said this door is the oldest bit of woodwork in the church,
Really?
and in his assessment was probably original to the 14th century.
My goodness.
Because it is an ancient door, isn't it? It is no doubt is an ancient door,
Wow.
and there's nothing else like it
Oh,
in
we've
the
got a light
church.
there. Oh, wow. Yeah, you can see where they bent the nails over.
Yeah, this side looks better, it's more interesting, but I mean it is,
Oh, you can see the strap hinges. Yeah.
it's quite an ancient door.
Oh, they've
isn't
put
it?
the crosses on there as well. Look. To ward off the evil spirits.
Yeah. Is this going to work there? Is it? No, perhaps not. Could, no, really not, just the way it was
Wow.
cast.
Yep.
The ones in here are the big bell ropes,
Okay.
proper bell ringing, and the other ones that are exposed like this that run across the floor are the Ellacombe Chimes ones, of course, because
Oh.
they've all got to end up over there, you see. Now you lose your sense of direction when you hit, but that's above the Ellacombe Chimes. You
So
see.
these are the Ellacombe Chimes.
They're
here.
the Ellacombe Chimes ropes going, so they all end up neatly in the corner.
That makes sense.
And these ones, so they neatly are in a circle.
Okay.
Of course, the bells up there are not in a neat circle, you see what I mean? So they're all go at funny angles, don't they?
Yep.
To get the ropes from the bells down there into a neat circle. So it's quite complicated, really.
And they use nylon as well.
That's the Ellacombe Chimes.
That's the Ellacombe
yeah,
Chimes.
These are synthetic these days. They're all synthetic, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, they're not. They last much longer.
Okay.
That is one of the biggest problems you have. You know, with the old, whatever they call it, rope, ship type rope. What is that called? Hessian or
Hessian, yeah. Hemp.
hemp
That's the
ropes.
one.
They were
Yeah.
connection with shipbuilding in this. The ropes made in the same place. They didn't last. They tended to wear out where they rub on the corner of the bell. So these days, synthetic ones are generally the thing.
This is the bell maintenance
So
kit.
if you've got you have to do a certain amount of maintenance. The obvious thing is to stay, but also the nuts come loose on the bells and the bell frame. So you have to go around and check all the nuts occasionally because they vibrate loose. You see over there, just ordinary nuts and bolts. So that's the kit that they use. Mufflers in case, in the rare occasion you have to actually be up there when the bells ring.
Yeah, I can imagine.
See why. I mean, if it starts to make a funny noise, you see, the only way to find out is for somebody to come up here with earmuffs on and somebody on the ground floor ring the bell. And of course it's deafening, absolutely deafening. So here's the spare stays, you see. So if somebody gets it wrong and breaks a stay, which is a classic bell ringers thing, this is a stay.
Okay.
It's a lump of elm. No, sorry, ash. It's a lump of ash. Deliberately, you wouldn't think it would, but it can break. It can snap in half if you get it completely wrong.
Slightly beveled there, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's all part of it.
Tapered.
Yeah, it's part of
See
the
that,
structure. Because it sits in a square cast iron box, which you'll see, and that bit, of course, is tapered because the way it goes round and hits the other bit, the intervening floor.
Okay, so
Of course, not all churches would have this intervening floor, or in some cases, the bell ring. This would be the bell ringing chamber. You see what I mean?
okay, yeah.
In which case, the bells are quite deafening. I've witnessed that a few times.
Wow. Yeah, it's something else, isn't it?
So you can see, obviously, now the bells are all down, with their mouths facing down. If they were up, when the bell ringers were about to ring them, obviously the bells would be up 180 degrees the other way up, resting against the stay.
Okay.
And then it is very dangerous to go up there. If you go up there then and touch one of the wheels, it will come down.
No,
And
okay.
if you're in the wrong place, it will cut you in half.
Oh, you don't want that.
Um,
Okay, I won't go any
As
further.
the bells are down, you can see both the clapper in the middle of the bell, big cannonball type thing. They're quite big and heavy.
The clapper. Yeah.
And then to the side, raised away from the bell, is the Ellacombe Chimes hammer.
Oh, okay.
Which is much smaller, only about a quarter the size, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, I got it. I'll put some light on it.
Then that Ellacombe Chimes hammer is on a lever
So that
connected to one of these ropes.
So that is the Ellacombe Chimes lever, the hammer, and the clapper's the big black iron piece.
Bell being down, to do proper bell ringing, you have to start with the bell up. And
So the ladder above us, that goes to the top of the
that
roof.
allows you to get access to the roof.
So that will be directly above us.
Yeah, there. And then there is a further ladder,
Wow.
a cast iron ladder, vertical, bolted to the wall.
So the last ladder is iron and vertically bolted to the
To the brickwork.
stonework.
on the
Oh,
wall,
that's incredible.
yeah. Also does not have hinges.
So the last hatch is copper lined and you have to lift that to get onto the roof.
Yeah,
So it's really heavy
yeah,
and a long way up.
not easy.
Not easy.
Probably now 50.
So what do we call him, a flagman?
Flagman, he's the flagman, yep.
So it's their job to put up the flag on special occasions?
Yep.
So for example, the coronation,
Coronation, King's birthday.
which is coming up.
Religious festivals like Whitsun, Christmas, Easter, they always put the flag up.
And it goes all the way up.
Well, this tower was built probably in the 1400s, and it's built of
Kentish ragstone, and the background we've learned is these towers originally probably only had one bell, hence there was plenty of space then, and the tower was probably built as a defensive installation, hence the small slitty Norman type windows and the
Yep.
heavy doors, and if the lookout had seen the enemy coming up the estuary or inland, they would have rang the one bell, and the villagers would have all flocked into the church and locked themselves in.
Yeah, of course.
But bells were added progressively. At the time of the Reformation, we have a list of church goods, and then it had 4 bells. So that 1500s, it had got 4 bells. And more bells have been progressively added. It went to 5, 6, and in 1953 it went to 8 bells. So it is an incredibly tight fit up there.
Yes, as we've seen on the camera, it's very tight fitting. And the recent bells were made in London,
in the
Whitechapel Foundry.
Yeah. And one is the biggest one, that's called the tenor, is dedicated to the Reverend Gardner, who was the last of the wealthy rectors here, who lived in the big house and funded a lot of the church activities himself. It has his name and his wife's name cast into the bell.
Fantastic. So much history here.
It is, isn't it, really? Yes, it is fascinating, really.
Okay, yeah.
Further reason for building a bell tower like this, of course, there was another purpose of building them, that was to have a clock.
Ah.
People didn't have clocks. Pocket watches and watches certainly never existed. People, if you were wealthy, you had a long case clock, a grandfather clock, but most villagers had no clock. So one of the requirements of a tower like this was initially to have a sundial on the south side, so that you could read the time on the sundial high up above the trees, of course, and other buildings, so the sundial was quite effective. Then the sundials were progressively replaced with pendulum clocks, with very large pendulums of clocks made of wrought iron and wood, and a huge great weight that extended through the floors of the church.
Okay.
You see those in other churches. We are quite convinced there was once a clock here, but when they did the restoration of the tower in the 1950s, I think they removed all remnants of a clock.
Okay.
But I'm fairly certain, you can see on the outside, you can see circular images in the stonework, particularly on the north side, and in places like this you can see clearly where there were changes in the past, like that.
Yes.
That's clearly an infill with red brick.
Yep.
So there was something.
Something,
there.
yeah, post, probably a beam.
There are others around here. You see there was, again, infill with red brick.
Yep.
So there was something once there. But of course we don't know what. But it
No.
could have been the structure for a clock. Over there again, same 3 red bricks inserted into there. Clear signs there was either another floor or a structure where the clock existed.
Go down.
We didn't put any lights on up here, did we? There aren't any to switch on up here.
No. No lights. Seems to be easier going down than it is going up.
Yeah, perhaps it is, I don't know.
Maybe because I'm heavy.
I can tell you a story about bell ringers and these stairs, of course, when we get down there. What we learn over the years. Right, we've just been up the tower and back down the tower, having coped with this twisty, narrow, spiral staircase, and experience of other towers, we learned we're in a good situation here because the bell chamber, the ringing chamber, is on the ground floor. You don't have to go up there to ring the bells. Contrast with a lot of Suffolk churches, you have to go up this spiral staircase to get to the next floor where the ringing chamber is. So the bell ringers have to do it twice a week or more times for services and their practice, which is of course normally at night in the dark. And one of the Suffolk tower captains told us, well, they had a desperate shortage of bell ringers. Even they had this beautiful church, lovely bells, but they could not get bell ringers to stay. And the reason was, in the winter, they could not cope, particularly young people, boys and girls, could not cope with the spiral staircases in the dark.
Oh.
Because they're poorly lit, they tend to be rather dusty and slippery. So they had to arrive in the church on a weekday in the winter, walk around the back of the church where there's no footpath, through the long grass in the dark, into the ground floor, and then get up this narrow spiral staircase to play the bell, and then reverse on the way out at 9 o'clock. And he said they just didn't want to do it. It was just too much of a challenge. It wasn't to do with bell ringing, it was about getting in and out. They just
It's unbelievable.
just gave up.
Just gave up.
Couldn't do it. Didn't want to do it. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
No, it's an interesting one. So he said we really have struggled over the years to get a team of, particularly to get younger people to join.
So it was not the strenuous occupation of ringing the bells. It was the spiral staircase. It was lack of light.
It's a long way up.
Yeah, I suppose it is. Yeah.
Twice the distance of this. Some of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they're quite narrow, and they're dark.
In winter.
In winter, yeah, cold.
And how often would they have to ascend the stairs?
Well, you normally have a practice once a week on a Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, but it depends how many services they have on Sunday. Of course, if it's a popular church in a busy place, they could well still have 2 services on Sunday. Matins at 11 o'clock in the morning and an evening service at 6:30 or 7, which most of the year is dark.
So what David was telling me, that this is probably why a lot of churches will have the ropes down here. You don't have to ascend or descend these stairs. It's safer. And what was it, the call changes?
Call changes involves the tower captain or the conductor to call out numbers
Okay.
to change the sequence. So the conductor will yell out 3 to 1, 5 to 2, 6 to 4, and 2 people have to change places. So 2 people, if not 3 people, involved in that. Now, of course, if you're too close to the bells, and if you're getting a little bit hard in the hearing, you can't hear him. The solution to that is you have to use one of these much more complicated methods, which means all the bell ringers have to learn the entire sequence at home in advance.
Okay.
And remember it, and these sequences are quite complicated.
And that's for each song? That's for each
method. They're called methods.
Methods.
And this is an indication of a method. I've seen this here. Here's a method where each bell ringer changes its place each time he rings. So a bell will, for example, number 4 there.
Yeah.
Number 4 moves up to the front, rings twice, and then moves all the way down to the back, rings twice and moves all the way to the front, and then the sequence changes.
Oh, I see.
It's a complicated method. And it takes a bit of learning.
Unbelievable. So we thank David for his time and explanation and his great knowledge into bell ringing and Ellacombe Chimes. It's been very, very memorable. Thank you, David, for your time.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. So I hope you enjoyed that, and thank you very much. And like I say, you can go onto David's website, or the Goldhanger Pass, I think it's called, and if you want to look more into it. and please visit the church. It's a great place to visit. Thank you very much.